Hello, and welcome to the Practical English Podcast. My name is Mike.
And I'm Angela. We're so glad you could join us today. We have a topic that I think almost everyone can relate to, and one that can be especially tricky when you're doing it in a second language: small talk on a first date.
That's right. That first meeting can be a little nerve-wracking, can't it? You're trying to make a good impression, trying to figure out if you even like this person, and you have to keep a conversation going the entire time. It's a lot of pressure.
Exactly. So today, our goal is to make it less stressful. We're going to give you the language, the questions, and the strategies you need to feel confident and natural. We'll cover everything from how to start the conversation, what topics to talk about, and even how to keep the conversation flowing smoothly.
So by the end of this episode, you'll have a complete toolkit for first date small talk. Let's get started.
Okay, so first things first, let's talk about mindset. I think a lot of people hear the phrase small talk and they think it's meaningless or fake. But on a first date, it's really not small at all, is it?
Not at all. It's the foundation of the entire interaction. The goal of a first date isn't to decide if you're going to marry the person. The goal is to see if you have a connection, if you enjoy their company. Small talk is how you do that. It's how you build rapport.
Rapport, that's a great word. It means creating a sense of understanding and trust. And small talk is the perfect tool for it. It's how you break the ice. That's a useful idiom, meaning to get a conversation started in a social situation.
Break the ice. And if you do it well, you might hit it off with the person, which means you get along really well from the start. You might feel that you have good chemistry.
Right. Chemistry is that natural, easy connection you feel with someone. But here's the most important thing to remember. The conversation is a two-way street. It is not 100% your responsibility to keep it going.
That is such a crucial point. It takes two people to have a conversation. If you're asking questions and being engaged and the other person is giving one-word answers, that's not your fault. So relax, be curious, and see your role as simply getting to know another human.
Okay, so with that positive mindset, let's move on to the practical stuff, the opener. Mike, what are some things people should say right when they meet?
Well, let's start with what not to do. Just saying, "Hi, how are you?" can sometimes fall flat. The other person just says, "Good, you?" And then silence. It's a closed question that doesn't invite a longer answer.
The dreaded awkward silence. We want to avoid that. So instead, try an opener that's connected to the present moment. For example, if you're meeting at a cafe, you could say, "This place is great. Have you been here before?"
That's a good one. It's easy and natural. Another one is about their journey there. Did you have any trouble finding the place? Or how was your trip over here? It shows you're considerate.
Definitely. Or you could ask a slightly more open version of "How are you?" like, "So, how has your week been treating you?" That invites a much more detailed answer than just "good."
Right. The key is to ask open-ended questions. These are questions that can't be answered with a simple yes or no. They usually start with words like what, how, or why. For example, instead of "Do you like your job?", which is a yes or no question,
You could ask, "What's the most interesting part of your job?" See the difference? The second one requires a real answer and opens the door for a much better conversation.
totally. It shows genuine curiosity.
Okay, so the date has started, you've broken the ice. Now, what do you actually talk about for an hour or two? This brings us to our next section, core topics. This might be a good moment to actually demonstrate what we mean. How about a quick role play? You be the one asking the questions.
This is the main course of the conversation. I think we can break this down into 4 safe but interesting categories: hobbies, work, travel, and pop culture. Let's start with hobbies. Okay, great. Let's do it. I'll pretend I'm on a first date with you. Let's start with a bad example using closed questions and not really listening. Okay, great. Let's do it. I'll pretend I'm on a first date with you. Let's start with a bad example using closed questions and not really listening.
Right. This is about finding out what they're passionate about outside of work. A great natural way to ask this is, "So, what do you like to get up to in your free time?" Or, "What do you do for fun?"
What do you get up to is a fantastic, very natural sounding phrase. And the magic here is in the follow-up questions. If they say, "I enjoy hiking," don't just say, "Oh, cool."
No, dig deeper. Ask, oh, that's interesting. How did you get into that? Or, that sounds fun. Do you have a favorite trail? This shows you're actually listening and you're interested.
Exactly. Okay, next core topic, work. This one can be tricky. It's a big part of our lives, but you don't want the date to feel like a job interview.
Right. So after you ask, what do you do for a living? Try to steer the conversation towards the experience of the job, not just the details. You could ask, what's the best part of your job? Or is that a field you always wanted to work in?
Those are great questions. They're about feelings and stories, not just facts. And it's a good time to introduce some vocabulary. You might describe a job as fulfilling, meaning it makes you feel satisfied, or demanding, meaning it requires a lot of effort.
Or you might have a 9 to 5, which is a standard office job. Or maybe you freelance, meaning you work for yourself. Okay, what's next on our list of topics, Mike?
Travel. This is almost always a winner because most people love talking about their travels or their dream destinations. You can ask, have you done any interesting traveling recently? Or do you have any trips coming up?
I love that one. Another great one is, what's one of the best places you've ever visited? People's faces light up when they talk about a trip they loved. It creates a very positive vibe.
For sure. And our final category is pop culture. This means movies, TV shows, music, books. It's a fantastic way to find common ground.
Absolutely. Questions like, have you seen any good movies lately? Or what kind of music are you into? Are perfect. If you find out you both love the same TV show, you instantly have something to connect over.
It's a great way to build that rapport we talked about. So, just to recap the core topics, hobbies, work, travel, and pop culture. If you can move between those four, you'll have plenty to talk about.
But it's not just about what you talk about, it's about how you talk about it. That brings us to our next section, the art of conversation, or how to keep it flowing naturally.
Yes, this is super important. The number one skill here is active listening. That means you're not just waiting for your turn to talk, you're genuinely hearing what they say and showing it.
How do you show it? You can use small, encouraging phrases, things like, oh, wow, that sounds amazing. No way, tell me more. Or even just, and right. These little signals make the other person feel heard.
It makes such a difference. Another great technique is something I call answer, add, ask. When your date asks you a question, you first answer it. Then you add a little bit more information, and finally you ask a related question back to them.
Ooh, I like that. Can you give an example?
Sure. Let's say they ask, do you like to cook? Don't just say yes, use the formula. Answer, yeah, I really do. Add, I've been trying to master Italian food recently. My carbonara is getting pretty good. Ask, what about you? Are you much of a cook?
That's brilliant. It turns a simple question into a real conversation. It also helps to ensure there's a good balance between talking and listening. A date should feel like a tennis match with the conversation going back and forth. It shouldn't be a monologue where one person talks the whole time.
A tennis match. That's a perfect analogy. And a quick word on talking about yourself. When you answer questions, focus on your passions. Talk about what excites you. People are drawn to passion, not to bragging.
That's such good advice. But what if, despite all this great advice, there's a pause, an awkward silence? What do you do?
First, don't panic. It happens. It's totally normal. Just take a breath, maybe take a sip of your drink, and have a backup question in mind. You can say something like, so, something I was curious about, and then ask a new question from one of our core topics.
Having a backup question is a great safety net. Okay, we've covered a lot of things to do, but are there any topics that are best to avoid on a first date?
Yes, definitely. This brings us to our last main point, topics to avoid and winding down. Generally, it's a good idea to steer clear of a few things on a first meeting. The first one is past relationships.
Oh, the X-Files. Yes, talking about your ex, whether it's good or bad, just isn't great first date material. It can make it seem like you're not over them, or it can bring a negative energy to the date.
Exactly. The other big ones are usually politics and religion. These topics can be very personal and emotional, and it's probably best to save them for when you know someone a little better. You want to keep the mood light and fun.
Right. The goal is connection, not a debate. The same often goes for money or salary. It can come across as a bit forward or intrusive on a first date.
For sure. So, you've had a nice conversation, and it's time to end the date. How do you do that gracefully?
If you had a good time and you're interested in a second date, you can say something clear and positive. For example, well, I should probably get going, but I've had a really wonderful time.
That's a great line. And if you feel comfortable, you can add, "This was really fun. We should do this again sometime." It leaves a door open and shows your interest clearly.
And what if you didn't have a good time?
It happens. You can still be polite. A simple, "It was really nice to meet you. Well, I should get going now," is perfectly fine. It's polite, but doesn't make any promises for the future. You don't have to lie and say you had the best time ever.
That's a very classy way to handle it. Well, that brings us to the end of our guide. Wow, we've covered a lot of ground today.
We have. Let's do a quick recap of the key takeaways for our listeners. First, remember that small talk is about building rapport, not just filling silence. Be genuinely curious about the other person.
Second, start with open-ended questions about the situation to break the ice. Stick to safe and positive core topics like hobbies, travel, and things you enjoy.
Third, practice active listening. Show you're engaged and use the answer, add, ask technique to keep the conversation balanced. It's a tennis match, not a monologue.
And finally, the most important rule of all is to be yourself. The goal is to see if you connect with someone authentically. Trying to be someone you're not is exhausting and won't work in the long run.
Couldn't have said it better myself. We hope this has given you some confidence and practical tools for your next first date. Practice these ideas and remember to have fun with it.
That's all the time we have for today on the Practical English Podcast. Thanks for tuning in.
Join us next time for more practical tips to improve your English. Until then, take care.